I don't know what type of things you do for your work or for fun, but I imagine if those things are interesting to you or important to you, at some point you've probably tried to do them better. Be a better teacher, better writer, better athlete, better juggler, whatever it is you do. And so to get better at those things, you probably would do the normal steps, which is look it up, take a class, practice, ask people who know how to do it. And that's really good. Like, for example, I wanted to learn filmmaking, so I ended up going to film school and I did some YouTube videos in high school and I made films and I watched some movies and I read books about film, and you're all familiar with that process. You do some research and you try it out, and that's kind of an endless cycle. And that's super good and that's super important and definitely necessary. But I'd like to share a story with you today that I read in a book that has helped me see the possibilities for learning things and getting good at them is actually a lot wider than I could ever have imagined. Here's the story, and it comes from the book The Art of Game Design by Shalev. So the author is, in addition to being a game designer, also a juggler, and he tells the story of when he was 14 years old, he went to his first juggling convention, which, if like me, you haven't been to a juggling convention, he describes them as basically a large gym with a lot of different jugglers experimenting with tricks, sharing tricks, just kind of learning and having a good time. But he says he only knew 2 tricks and he was really nervous to kind of go there as a newbie. So Jesse looks around, he's juggling a little bit, he's practicing, still a little nervous, but then he notices one juggler who stands out. And Jesse describes the man like this. He was an old man in a powder blue jumpsuit, and his tricks were not like the others at all. He used patterns and rhythms that were unique, and his tricks, though not astonishing in their difficulty, were simply beautiful to watch. I had to watch a long time before I realized that some of the tricks that seemed so special and unique when he did them were things I could already do, but when he did them, they had such a different style, a different feeling, that they seemed like something completely new. So the guy eventually notices Jesse watching him, and he says, "Hey, do you want to know why my tricks look so different?" And Jesse guesses maybe it's practice, and the juggler in the powder blue jumpsuit says, and this is a quote, "No, everybody practices. Look around. They're all practicing. No, my tricks look different because of where I get them. These guys, they get their tricks from each other, which is fine. You can learn a lot that way, but it will never make you stand out." And then a little farther on, the juggler says, "The secret is don't look to other jugglers for inspiration. Look everywhere else." And then the juggler starts to perform all of these really interesting tricks that he's perfected. He says one trick that he learned watching a ballet in New York. He learned another one of his tricks watching a paper punch machine. And then he shows him a trick that he says he learned from a flock of geese that he saw take off from a lake up in Maine. And then he tells Jesse, "See, these guys can copy my moves, but they can't copy my inspiration." And I remember finishing that story and thinking, this is so wild. I'm a teacher slash filmmaker slash YouTuber learning from a game designer who learned from a juggler who in turn was learning from geese. So why did I tell you this story? I don't know exactly what it is you're trying to get good at. Could be any number of things. I'll pick one at random just because we're on YouTube. Maybe you want to make YouTube videos. Let's say you're trying to become a YouTuber. Now, it is probably going to be super important for you to watch some videos on filmmaking and audio equipment and editing and thumbnail creation. Those are all important things that you do have to learn, at least a little bit probably. But don't just watch those, because you might become competent, you might even become very good, but you'll never become different and unique and yourself. You'll just end up being a less interesting version of the people you're copying. So instead of just stealing from jugglers, the people telling you how to make YouTube videos, watch movies, watch documentaries, maybe read books that don't relate to your work. I mean, that's kind of how I came across my game design book in the first place. Talk to interesting people in your life, or go meet interesting people. Take walks and go different ways than you might normally go. And maybe next time you're out at the park, you might see some geese and maybe you'll learn something. I don't know. The truth is, excellence in all its forms is worthy of being studied. So let's not limit ourselves by only copying and learning from people who are working in the exact field we're trying to work on. Studying within your field is how you get competent, but studying outside of your field is how you get different. All right, let me know in the comments down below what's something you're trying to get good at, and what's an unexpected place, a goose, if you will, that you were able to learn something from. All right, thanks guys, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.